Welcome. What's good, everybody? It's a Saturday afternoon, and guess who's on? It's the White Owl just come to bring you the Black Minds TV, which is also the Black Minds News. That's right, y'all. Trying to find the best times for this to make happen, and I want to thank everybody who's out here. First, I want to give it to my subscribers. What's good, fam? Hope y'all enjoy the show. Appreciate your participation. Passerbys, welcome. It's always a grand opening. All you have to do is go down the aisle. Maybe find something you like. Hit that like button. If you don't like, hit the dislike. You put in the comments. Say, hey, I don't agree or disagree or think you're allowed to BS. It's all good over here. Agents, you've been a little lenient. You've been letting me do what I do. Hopefully we can continue to have that kind of relationship. But you must do what you do when you get your paycheck. So I'm not going to trip on you. So, I got to get this spiel out before we get it going, right? Hello and welcome to the Black Minds News, also the Black Minds TV. I'm your host, the White Ologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this channel is to report, transmit, communicate, articulate, relay, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, website, or quotes from publication. As I, your White Ologist, articulate these informations, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, mind, soul, spirit, and soul. I guess that's right. Because as a descendant of the greatest people who created the greatest country that we call the descendants of slaves, that I am a part of, and those who participate, I hope that you are too. On this channel, we give honor. You know why? Because the truth don't need no partner. You know what my motto is? I'm not going to tell you what I heard. I'm going to tell you what I know. All right, y'all, back again, trying to do another show for the edification for those who are interested in the things that I do. And all I do is pretty much bring what's out in the world, bring it to your attention, and give my dissertation and my opinion to it. And I'm actually willing to open the phone lines up eventually to have your input so that we can have a nice, bigger conversation on it. So, all right, so again, as I was doing my research today, looking at some stuff, and I was like, well, you know how it go, man. You know, I got to pick out what things I think that would be good in edification, and then sometimes it just be some things that just be like, well, what would I do, right? What would you do if you was under this situation, right? Let's just say that you came across large sums of money, right? You know, you have a question, you have a moral question to ask yourself. You know that old show that come on with Don Quixote talking about what would you do? Well, what would you do if you ran across something that didn't belong to you, but in the findings of it, it could be beneficial. It could be a come up, right? You know, a come up, especially when you out here and you going through things and you suffering and you need that little extra cash, right? And you come across something. Well, this individual here, I came across here, he did that same thing. Let's see, maybe you will disagree. Maybe you disagree what he did, but this is his story. So we're going to set it off, and hopefully everything start off good, and here we go.
63-year-old Richard Taverna is enjoying retired life on the Upper West Side with his family and 3 cats. He usually starts his mornings at a gym near the 66th Street subway station. Thursday was no different, except one little thing that thousands could easily overlook in the hustle and bustle of New York City.
I noticed there was a purse sitting on the floor. I figured maybe there's an address or something in there. So I looked inside, and all I saw was I thought it was a piece of paper, and it was in Russian.
Taverna says he noticed the purse sitting up against this wall here on the northbound 1 train platform, and because there are no MTA workers stationed here, he decided to take it home in hopes of tracking down the owner. If not, he says perhaps he'd bring it back the next day to give to a southbound agent.
I figured there was a story behind it, and somebody was probably really upset at that point in time.
And someone surely was, because all of this, he later discovered, was inside $10,000 in cash.
I realized the piece of paper was actually an envelope, and I opened it up, and there was this big stack of big stack of money, you know, $100 bills.
What went through your mind when you opened that up and saw $10,000?
It's like, you know, it's New York, I guess. You know, you never know what you're going to find.
But Taverna is no Grinch, knowing full well finders are not always keepers, taking that purse full of treasure right to the NYPD.
There's never any question about keeping it. You know, obviously it's the right thing to do.
And will no doubt be making one woman's holiday season a whole lot better. Cops are trying to reach the owner in her 50s who reported the missing money to police when she was on her way to Russia. They say Taverna's good deed is nothing short of a Christmas miracle. On the Upper West Side, Rena Roy, CBS 2 News.
And officers in the 20th precinct say they couldn't think more highly of Mr. Taverna, but he says he just did what he had to do.
All right, so you know my mic. I was sitting there talking again. I got to keep doing this every time because I don't know why my mic is keep doing this. But then again, so here it was, the individual that ended up stumbling over $10,000. He was a man that Jefferson would have said from the Upper East Side, but he's from the Upper West Side, right? And he come across a purse that contained $10,000 in pure cash, right? So you know. His name is Richard Taverner, right? And that's the name, Richard Taverner, right? He sent over the $10,000, 63-year-old man. He was on his retiredness. Now, here you are, you retired, and you come across a bank full. You know, again, I'll use the analogy of something like Monopoly, right? You play Monopoly, you get that card, you know, go to community chest and say, bank error in your favor, right? Right? Bank errors in your favor. But again, would you take it is another question. Again, it's a moral question, right? It's your moral compass. What would you do, right? So the story goes on, says that the cash was left inside a forgotten purse. Forgotten, huh? Some might consider keeping it, but he said he didn't, even though he'd think twice about it, he knew what to do next, right? So Mr. Taverner is making the most retired life. Again, he's living on the Upper West Side and a family of 3 cats. Right? Now, he's a lonely dude, right? Only got 3 cats, but he got 10 G's, right? That he came across, stumbled, you know, old school saying, finders, weepers, losers, sweepers, right? You know that? Something like that, right? And so, again, ain't too much to elaborate on that, right? You know, I'll give you a personal story myself. I remember one time I was on my way to work. And you know how it is if you take public transportation to work, right? So you could drive, but again, maybe it's more convenient and cheaper to take public transportation. So I'll take public transportation this day, and I seen an old friend, female friend, you know, seen it. You know how fella, you know, see old female friend, see female friend, and then we conversate. Now, when I was getting to go after I paid to get into the turnstile, I had my wallet in my hand. Now, also that same day, I put a little extra money because I was going to pay a bill after I got off work. So I had, I think I had about $180 in my wallet, right? I had about $180 in my wallet, right? So I had that in my hand. And as I got on, I seen her, hey, what's up, girl? Woo, woo. So we sit down, and I had my hat. I took my hat. I had my little player hat on, right? So I had my wallet still in the hand. So when I sat down, I did not recognize when I took my hat off, right? My wallet was still in my hand. So I set it down, and I'm sitting there, you know, in the conversation. You ain't seen somebody in a minute. Maybe you had some, you know, just a conversation, right? We back catching up. So we get at the stop, but we're getting off. So I get off the train, pick up the hat. Now remember, the wallet was in my hand too. So when I picked up the hat and got off the train, guess what? Left my wallet in the seat. Yeah, Mr. Blow Your Mind, I was slipping. So I get on to the next train and go get all the way to the work. And soon I got to punch the clock, it hit me. It was like, oh, wait, my wallet. Oh, I felt sick. I just had to click it. I had to punch in. Well, nothing I could do. And this rush hour, it's in the, you know what I'm saying? Rush hour, you know, everybody going to work. So I was like, man, charge it to the game, man. I'm burned up. I'm like, damn, I done got only thing I'm hoping, somehow somebody just put the motherfucker wallet back in the mailbox and maybe I get my ID. The money, charge it to the game. Well, let me tell you how it went. So I'm telling everybody at the job, everybody, they talking shit. Nigga, that shit go, boy, you gonna tell that shit to the game, ooh, your ass, ooh. I was like, man, all right, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it for what it is. All right, it is what it is, right? So later on, I get a call before the end of the day. Person called me up, was like, hey, somebody calling me talking about they got a wallet. They want you to, come through, woo, woo. I'm like, oh, damn, really? All right, well, set it up. And, tell this person, meet me, Blase Skippy, and I'll be there. So I'm like, man, I tell everybody, hey, man, I got they call me by my wallet. They're like, hey, you get your wallet. Man, you ain't finna get no money, man. You ain't finna get no money, man. I don't even care about the money. Now, those who know how hard it is to replace identification, sometimes you can charge it to the gate. Now, I ain't talking about 10 G's. You be real sick. But $180 again, it ain't like, I didn't need it because, again, it had a bill attached to it that I was going to pay, right? So I go ahead and get on the train. I go there and I'm thinking all this time, like, man, I'm just going to get my wallet back. I'm cool with that. I'm good. I get there. Now, check this story out, y'all. So I get there. It's a brother. Brother, like, he say, hey, you Mr. Blows Your Mind? I'm like, yeah, that's me. He like, I got your wallet, said, but I left it at the crib. And I'm looking like, what kind of bullshit you on, nigga? What you on? So, all right, come on, man, because the ground we in my old neighborhood. So I'm like, I'm cool with it. I just know who he was. So we get on the bus. He talked to me. He calling me by my gov name. I'm looking like, nigga, you don't know me like that. What's wrong with you, right? So we get on the train, get off the bus, get out, walk down to this thing. We get in this assign in. This dude is in a drug rehab. Check this out now. Dude in a drug rehab. He going signing. I go up with him. I'm looking. I'm like, okay. He go up and I go to his room and go in this door. Shit. He go into the drawer. He go in there. I see my wallet. He like, man, he's like, here it is, man. He was kind of a little hesitant. Like he kind of bartering in his mind, like, I'm doing this, right? And I'm like, it's all good. He said, man, let me tell you something. Real talk. He said, something told me I got to give this back to you. And I'm like, okay, all right. So guess what? When I opened the wallet, what was in there? Everything was in there. All of it was in there. The whole 180 was in there. Man, I broke the 50. I peeled the 50, gave him the 50, man. Just like that, gave him the 50. Because I was like, man, the 180 was charged to the game. I got it back, right? So I was like, I'm cool with it. So he gave me back that. So when I come back to work the next day, everybody, you heard you done it, get your wallet. So I got the whole 180. Man, they was salty. They was mad because I didn't get beat. I said, because see, I do. Never mind. But that was a story. So again, it's a moral thing. He was a dude that was a drug. He was on he could have relapsed easy with that. But he said something in him told him he had to give it back. Well, see, that was a good deed that was done right there, right? Again, sometimes it's worth it, but again, it depended on your situation. Could be it could have been a 10G come out. Well, most of them are gonna say 10G, shit, you ain't getting that back. But in this case, this individual did it, and that's how it goes, right? That's life, right? That's how it goes. So we got another personal story about Mr. Blows Your Mind, right? My wallet got hit. I slipped the gear, let my wallet end up getting it all back. Now think about that. Of all the people that got on the train that morning, we talking about rush hour. We talking about rush hour. We talking about between that time between 7 and 9, 6 and 9. All the people that got on it, the one person that ended up getting on was the one who would give me my shit back. So sometimes you got to look at the gift for what it is. And still to this day, I got that wallet. Real talk. Now moving on. Right? So since we're going to talk about money in the aspect, right? There was another story that went out where a brother had been working, you know what I'm saying? And decided, he had put in, how it is when you first work somewhere. You don't get no check right away. They hold that first check, right? So he done put 3 weeks in. They hold that first week. He done worked his ass off. You know how it is when you get a job. Most of the time, people who get in the job, you ain't had no money. So you know, and then get to work, you know, first to get that check. So he get a check, so he ain't got no bank account, right? And you know how exorbitant fees is going to the currency exchange, right? So he went to the bank. I guess the bank that actually the check come from, right? And this is what took place. So sit back for a minute, check this out, and I'll be right back.
It was highly embarrassing. Highly embarrassing.
What was supposed to be a quick trip to the bank for Paul McCown's turned into what he calls a nightmare, all because he tried to cash his paycheck.
I got a new job. I worked there for about 3 weeks.
It was the first check from the new job. McCown says he went to this Huntington branch on Biddulph Avenue in Brooklyn on December 1st to cash it.
She says you need 2 forms of ID. I said, okay, because I'm not a client at Huntington.
McCown says he provided both his license and social security card. He also gave his fingerprint, which is bank policy. Then he says multiple tellers started challenging the transaction.
They tried to call my employer numerous times. He never picked up the phone.
The paycheck for roughly $1,000 was handed back to McCown's. Tellers said they wouldn't cash it, so he left.
I get in my truck, and of course, you know, the squad car pulled in front of me. He said, get out the car.
Instead of just letting McCown's go on his way, the teller calls Brooklyn police on him.
He's trying to cash a check, and the check is fraudulent. It does not match our records.
Does he know you called 911?
No.
But the person who made that phone call, that manager, that teller, whoever made that phone call, I feel as though that they were judging.
Minutes after being handcuffed and put in the back of a cop car, police confirmed the check is real. McCown says he believes bank employees profiled him.
My employer said, yes, he works for me. He just started, and yes, my payroll company does pay him that much.
McCown says he cashed that check the next day at another Huntington location with no problems. We reached out to the bank. They tell us there's increased fraud in Brooklyn with 11 cases at this branch in just the last few months. A rep says the tellers were being hyper-vigilant. Brooklyn police tell Cleveland 19 there was no fraud with McCown's case. What response are you hoping to get from them?
I mainly want I want an apology, a sincere apology.
Huntington tells me they did reach out to McCown's, but they say he's not returning their calls. They say they should have confirmed with McCown's employers before calling police. McCown says he wants the bank to change their protocol for non-customers and hopes no one else is treated the way he says he was.
It hurts. It really hurts.
All right. So again, you know how it is in this country here, right? When it comes to dealing with us as DOS of this land, right? So we got here a story about a bank teller calls police on black men trying to cash paycheck, right? As you just seen in that video, right? It's actually an Ohio man said he was racially profiled when he went to cash a paycheck, and instead he was shackled and put in the back of a police car, right? His name is Paul McCown, who is black, went into a Huntington bank on December 1st to cash a check for more than $1,000. He who had received his first new employers, right? That was his first check he got, again, as we talked about. He showed 2 forms of identification, gave a thumbprint. What the fuck? I mean, he done gave what? And accordance with the bank policy for non-members. Now, however, the tellers questioned the transaction and tried to call McCown. Because of the hassle McCown to see, he decided to leave because of the hassle he was getting, right? So he walked outside to get into his truck, and the police car arrived. Said the teller had called 911. I have a customer here. He's not our customer. Actually, he's trying to cash a check, and the check is fraudulent. Does not match our records. Teller told the 911 operator. McCown was handcuffed and put in the back of the police car. And then tried to sort out the story. His employer confirmed the check was legitimate, and a few minutes later, McCown was released. Right? Now, my employer said, yes, he worked for me. He just started, and yes, my payroll company does pay him that much. Okay, listen to what this story is saying, y'all. Police said that the bank had received more than 10 fraudulent checks since July 18th. We were given a description of the individual. When we arrived, the mail was leaving in his vehicle. He was not arrested, but he was detained until officers could figure out what was going on. Kyle said he was profiled. Okay, so I don't need to go through that because you've seen the video, right? When the story is significant, I need to read, I will read it. But in this case, you got the video and it's very self-explanatory. So here was this individual, got his first check, go to a bank, again, a bank who's not familiar with him, and the first time he's doing a cash a check. And he tries to cash a check. So he goes through the proper protocols, which is what? Identification, and they took a thumbprint, right? Wait a minute. ID, thumbprint. ID is matching what the name is on the check. Thumbprint, you got to identify him, even if something should go wrong, right? But the people, whoever was a cashier, again, this is another probably silent secret. Again, Mr. Blurry Mind always got a story for you, right? Life, right? So, again, let's deal with this first, then I get to the story. All right, so that person, whoever's the cashier, has the discretion to make whether to, again, what we hear the story saying, the check didn't go into their system or it didn't match. Now, I think that was bullshit. We know that's bullshit, right? We know that's bullshit, right? We know that's bullshit. Because you know why? How is it that the owner of the employee or the employer was there to verify for him, knowing that he got a checking account there, that his payroll, goes through there, or his checks go through there. So that lets you know they were bullshitting. That's number one. They was bullshitting. Two, he went through the proper protocol. Again, the discretion is under the cashier or the what they call bank teller, right? Because they make the banks or cashier or let's say currency exchange, they make them responsible if they don't catch that, right? It's kind of like that's an unseen thing that they do to them, right? They make them be like, okay, if we get beat, you gonna take the cost of it. So a lot of times they be very precautionary on it, right? So I'm giving both sides to this, but we already know what this is, right? So why do you call 911? Did you give the check back? Did you keep the check? Right? That was not disclosed. Did you give it back to him? And if that is a bad check, right? You had surveillance cameras. You had his fingerprint. You had his ID. He could have walked away. You could have called the police and just give all that information, allow them to investigate, and then do what they did. You didn't have to do that. Like again, the brother said he was embarrassed. You put him on Front Street. And matter of fact, it was only $1,000. A black man can't have $1,000. A black man can't have a check for $1,000. Then you want to come with a cockamamie ass story talking about something. Well, we've been having people writing fraudulent. Well, what the hell does that got to do with him? Does he fit the description? Is this the same name that checks have came already? No, probably not. It was that person there having their bias, their discretion, right? And we don't know what transpired between, again, you harassing somebody, and again, somebody might be saying certain things. And then again, some people itching for a scratch. They're always looking for a reason to be able to pick up and call that damn police again, they need to come up with some laws, and I'm pretty sure they are. People were going to start putting them on the books. When you make these falsified ass calls, we're going to do a reverse chokehold on your ass, right? So we also know the history of banks and how with black people and how they've been discriminatory practice and not loans and all that other shit. So we're not surprised when it comes with a bank. But let me tell you a own personal story about that. I remember one time I did the same thing, worked at some place. I had new work somewhere. This was a while back. I worked somewhere and got my new check. So they didn't have a bank, but it was a currency exchange. And I kind of needed the cash. I was like, I'm going to go up in here. So I gave the woman my ID, signed the check. She stamped the check. Then she was like, well, you don't have a card here. Well, what's the procedure for me to fill out a card? She's like, well, you've already had the card before you do. I said, well, you didn't already stamp my check. Now, understand what I mean by that. She stamped the check. The stamp to mean that you paying me out, you got that on the check. And talking about you going to give it back to me. I'm like, so where I'm supposed to take this to cash this if you done already stamped paid on it? She trying to, you know what I'm saying? She was trying to fuck me over. So I raised the hell. Oh, you call the police, goddammit. Because you know what? That's some bullshit. And when they can't say, what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this check? How I'm supposed to take this? So now here it is. I got to go back to my job. It's already weekend. They close on the weekend. So I got to sit till fucking Monday? Fuck out of here. That's some bullshit, right? But in a long story short, I ended up getting that resolved. I went to a place that they knew me, and I told them the story, and they was able to let me go ahead and do it, right? But that's how people be. These people, sometimes they got their prejudiceness. They sitting there and they on that bullshit, and then they want to do that shit to you and act this like, oh no, it was just, no, we've been having issues no, you just on some bullshit. Real talk, you just on some straight bullshit, and that's what that was, right? So again, the brother just asking for an apology. Now I want you to file something else and get you some more pay. Get some more money for the inconvenience. So if that's what you do, get something else on top of that, right? So we're going to move on, y'all. Let's see who all in here. Let me see if I got any family in the house. I got a couple people in the house. Okay, I got a couple people in the house. All right. Got Bernard Thomas. What's good, brother? Kabir Bay. That's right. And some of the two I see in here so far. Okay. So what's good with y'all, fam? All right, so now, this one here. Now, since we're talking about how discrimination is, right? You know how it is, man. You know, we the center of the nation here, right? You know, people like to always say we use the race card. And that it's a figure of our imagination. But, you know, I seen this story and I was like, okay, man, if I was in his shoes, and again, at that age, right? You know, depending on what kind of maturity you had. Because, you know, sometimes you be a certain age, you could be, you know, naive, still real naive and haven't matured, grown a little bit. But again, when you're an athlete and you in your moment and you in your day, and here was an event that you needed, well, it was a choice to be made. And again, I think there's some other ways it could have been handled, right? So let me let you see what I'm talking about, and we'll be right back. Everybody probably seen this, but let me, you know, I got to put it out there.
From all over the country tonight, a referee at a high school wrestling match in New Jersey told a wrestler he had to cut his dreadlocks or forfeit the match. So with the clock ticking, that wrestler, a teenager, chose to let the team trainer cut his hair. But that video is now sparking outrage and questions about that ref's decision. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Disgust tonight over this video now circulating the internet of this moment of humiliation. New Jersey high school wrestler Andrew Johnson having his dreadlocks cut by a trainer before a match. He was forced to have his hair cut by a referee in order to compete or forfeit the match. It's standard for wrestlers with long hair to have the option to cover their heads, but the referee, Alan Maloney, would not allow it.
His hair's always been like that, so for them to now bring it up is out of line.
The Buena Superintendent of Schools releasing this statement today. The referee will no longer be permitted to officiate any contests that include any Buena Regional School District student athletes. Johnson's win propelling his team to victory. But with a split lip and reluctant raise of his hand, he walks off the mat looking as if he'd just been defeated. Demands are growing for Maloney to be fired or punished. Neither Maloney nor Johnson responded to our request for comment. Tom.
Lindsay Davis for us tonight. Lindsay, thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
All right. So we had a, you know, little shorty out there that was on the wrestling team. I guess it was around this time. I guess it was state, or it was just a regular match, one of the two, right? And so, upon him to have his match, you know, again, what they say, gives, you know, power corrupts absolutely, right? So here's a referee that seems, again, as I talked about the other day, black and white. A referee wears black and white to mean he's impartial. He don't have no bias. And I told you just the other day, referees be bullshitting a lot of the time, especially if you done played. You know they be doing that shit, right? I ain't talking about some nigga that just sit on the couch. I'm talking about actually being in the game and playing. You know how that goes, right? So here it was, you know, sometimes mothers can use certain situations to be able to, you know, get off something, right? So here it was, again, maybe it is in the rules. Maybe it is the policy that if your hair length is certain, this to that. But from my knowledge of what I remember in high school, don't they wear something on their head where he could kind of like, you know, tuck that and, you know, put the twist and put all that in there, right? But to make you cut your hair, huh? I mean, you know, you had his love, right, for the game versus his hair, which he loved his hair too, because again, those who know about dreadlocks and what it takes to do that, right? So you made him have to cut all that off on a spare whim, because the question should have been asked is also too, before he even gets to the ref. What about the damn coach? Is he brand new? Did he just get the job yesterday? Don't he know all that? And what about all the matches he done had over this year? I don't know when wrestling season start, but let's just say that's finals or this is state. So I'm going to say he been wrestling all year. Did anybody else say, hey, man, your hair, man? So if that be the case, then again, you know, like sometimes when you go to these little hick towns and you come and let's say you from the city, you know, they say you a city team and you playing in these little country bunking ass towns, and then the referee be a hometown dude. He be from a little one stop like Mayberry ass town too. And so based on the simple fact that you are the city nigger team, you're the city niggers coming over here and putting a thrash up out, so again they throwing some of the fix in, right? And they was doing that shit, throwing the game shit, making the motherfucker got 5 fouls and shit. Like, I don't even play D like that. I play D, but not, I control myself not to be no foul before damn halftime. Nigga, you throwing the game. So, same shit here. He might have been a hometown, you know what I'm saying? French lick type motherfucker, and decided that I'm going to have this boy cut his hair. You want to forfeit the match, boy, or you want to cut the hair? So here's the organization going to say, well, you know, we're going to suspend him. Well, what do you mean suspend him? So was it in the rules to do that? Or he made up some shit? That's what we need to know. Don't give us this scenario of you're guessing, what is it? Is that the rule or is it not the rule? Now, I know on the research I did, they were showing up the rules saying about hair need, if it goes below the eyebrow and so on. So, again, certain standards are different for certain ethnicities of people. Now, white folks got hair that go down to their ass, right? And our women, if they don't go get the damn weave, and there's some naturalness that go, but again, we don't see too many sisters with their hair down that long. But they do go to the ear and down, you know, to the back and so forth. Now, when brothers doing it, get dreads and stuff, it may go to the ear, under the earlobe. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you get, I forgot that one brother used to play in the NFL, but he ain't a DOS. But y'all know, kind of Hawaiian ass, you know, head was looking like he was doing shampoo commercials, right? But I'm just saying, you can't have a standard that goes strictly across the line, because again, different people with different types of genes and, you know, and we just different. So you can't have that going across, because again, take too much work for a brother like that to do what he do to get his hair, and to sit there and have him cut, and then y'all recording, and then it makes the news. See? And the coach and them were just sitting there. Well, why did they say, let's come with another way of doing it? They seemed like they was more in agreement to it. So brother end up again, you put that aggression in him. You gave him something a little more oomph in there. So whoever he was wrestling, you wasn't finna win because his hair got cut. This wasn't finna be no Samson and Delilah store. He was gonna bust your ass. And that's exactly what he did. And then at the end, the ref wanna raise his hand like, don't touch me. Get your ass away from me. Right? Man, right. He's damn right he should be. He made me come in here. You know how much work it took me to do that? And on one match, 10, 15 minutes later, my hair all cut for all that time it took me to do what it did. So again, we'll be looking for what will be the end result of that, right? So, moving on. So, since we're talking about somebody of that age being in high school and decision got to make, You know, a lot of us, we was in high school. Some of us was very studious. Again, I'll tell you, Mr. Bloodmine was studious, but it was kind of one of the mother that didn't. It was like, I could do the work, but I could fuck off and talk shit in the back too, right? I was that kind of motherfucker, right? I do homework in there. Don't nobody do the homework. I pass my fucking test. All that good shit, right? But to get the grades, okay. So, you know, at the end, all the bullshit you do all through the year, then it comes, it's the culmination is now grades coming out. You're like, oh shit, man. Up on grades. I know I did. You be knowing what class you done well in, you know, what classes you was not really participating in, and that class you really just fucked off in, right? So here's a shorty that, again, the question would ask you, knowing that, you know, when you was in grade school, when that day came for grades, and you knew you really didn't apply yourself, and you fucked off, it was a little dread, because you know, you either try to delay it, you hit it, some motherfuckers even try to scrape and change the grade up, they did all kinds of shit, because again, now you got to face mama, daddy, right? Some might be just mama, some might be just daddy, might be both. And then you have to deal with the consequences, right? You know, depending on what kind of corporal punishment they gonna give you, right? So here's a situation where he said he took it in his own damn hand. Well, check this out, y'all. This one here, I don't know. This is a DOS thing. I know. A matter of fact, I know this ain't a DOS thing, but I'm gonna play it anyway. Check it out. You want to see it? Here it goes.
It's the murder case shocking America. A 15-year-old confesses to strangling his mom over a bad grade.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Greg Ramos wore a blank expression in court as he was arraigned for first-degree murder. Here's Megan Alexander.
Police say Greg Ramos and his mother got into a terrible argument when he came home with a D in school. Around midnight, he allegedly sneaked into his mom's room and strangled her. Then he went to get a wheelbarrow to bring the body out of the house. When he returned, he discovered she was still alive. He told police he strangled her again, this time taking half an hour to kill her.
Ramos called two school friends who allegedly helped him bury his mom, 46-year-old Gail Clevenger, in a fire pit near a church outside Orlando.
All the stones were arranged. It was a fire pit, and this is where him and his friends would always come. We did a cursory search. Unfortunately, her foot was protruding after digging down maybe 8 or 10 inches. That's not really a big place to where he put his mom.
County Sheriff Mike Chitwood called Ramos soulless.
At first, young Greg Ramos told police he came home from school and found his home had been ransacked and his mother missing, presumably abducted by the burglars. But Greg Ramos had scratches on his face and he was taken in for questioning. Pretty soon, his story fell apart.
It was very boom, 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 boom. Normally you figure there's a point in time where somebody's going to break down or there's going to be some type of emotional. There was no emotional, nothing. There was nothing at all like that.
Criminologist Dr. Casey Jordan.
These kids, very often we don't see the signs because they are showing no emotions at all. They are what we simply call flatline. They don't show any empathy, any sympathy, any remorse, any guilt.
This video, obtained by Inside Edition, showed Ramos performing Taekwondo at a martial arts camp in 2015. His mom was there to cheer him on.
Axe kick, sir.
Ramos was a member of the Police Explorers youth group. He wanted to be a homicide detective. Friends say Gail was a loving mom whose last post on Facebook was this photo of her son when he was 6 years old. "Love this face," she wrote. Dawn Marie is a family friend.
The little boy that I knew from a young age was brought up in a loving home with loving parents, and he's not the monster they're saying he is.
All right. So again, seeing little Florida teen strangled his mom over bad grades. Now again, there was an update to this. I think that story really had did back in November 5th, right? So I brought it because again, you know, sometimes our people need to see that, right? Now again, we have our issues and people say, oh, black people killing black people. You rarely see, in pretty much, rarest cases where a mug is going to go out of his mama like that. Now, I done seen some stories again where I seen up in New York, I think it was him and his homie, killed their mama so they could be flashing cash and doing a video. Well, right there, something wrong with you mentally, right? So again, they say a little monster, he's soulless. You have to be, right? Just imagine that as a parent. You birth was going to take you out the damn world. If you knew that, you probably be like, you would have wiped them in a napkin. You know what I'm saying? Push that mug down the toilet. Would have gone ahead and save that. No sense to go no more with that, right? So, can you imagine that, man? He had bad grades. And that's all it took for him to set it off. They said that he goes in, strangled his mama. Thought his mama was dead, went to go get the wheelbarrow. Mama still moving. He go back, finish the job. It took him 30 minutes. Like, over some bad grades? Where's your mind at? Huh? Where's the mind? Where's the mind at? You can't have a mind. That's say soulless. Well, we know that, don't we know that could be? We know about Yakub, right? We know about all that, right? We know that. So that's not really, amazing. It's just the fact that it's like, when you see it, it's kind of like, wow, Mug is really out there. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully, again, have our people who be trying to mimic and copy. Don't be copying that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's enough shit to be really proud of. Matter of fact, you got to, you don't even want to carry that. It's one thing that a lot of people have issues with their father. Maybe, mom and the dad didn't get along. Daddy had to do whatever he had to do. Maybe it was bad relationship. Maybe, what'd say, Grady there, mama's baby, papa maybe. Could be one of them situations, right? But, so you have the disdain for your father, right? But you ain't still talking about rolling your father up, making a stone and burning him and all. You ain't talking about all that. Just like, I ain't fucking with him no more like that. Or I don't fuck with him like that. It is what it is. You just a biological donor. But then for your mama who you stay with, you ain't, damn, what kind of relationship was that? Or what place could you go in yourself to even think, to even do something like that? Well, it is what it is, right? We're going to move on with that. But I'm just saying, man, it's, it's wild shit. It's really wild when you think about it. So since we're talking about killing, and so I got to go to the Chocolate City because, again, brings another notice on this that I seen, and I was like, hey, what's going on over there? What's wrong with our brothers over here? We know about Chicago. Everybody knows Chicago's always up on there. So again, when we start looking at other places, we got to say, well, what's going on over there, right? Let me show you this story here and come back and then elaborate on it, what I think on it.
300 murders this year. Baltimore hit that grim milestone last night.
Now, the number of killings is down from last year, but the city certainly remains one of the country's most violent.
And WJZ investigator Mike Helgren's live on Garrison Boulevard, where he talked to the family of a father of 5 murdered at his store last week. Mike?
Mary and Rick, Moses Jaber devoted a lot of his life to this store. He worked here for 20 years, and people in the community rely on it. You can see this is part of the memorial to him, and one of the signs that people put up, though you're gone, it says, you left your footprints on my heart. Talked to his son today, one of many people who's been touched by violence in the city this year.
Get, punished.
2 years ago, I interviewed Moses Jaber, a beloved father of 5 and fixture at his convenience store on Garrison Boulevard, about violence in the neighborhood. On Saturday, he was murdered. Now, police are looking for 4 men in his killing. They approached Moses, shot him, then ran away, leaving behind heartbreak for his family, his son Amar.
We really don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Jaber is just one of the 300 people killed in the city this year. The 4th year in a row, Baltimore has broken that awful number.
It's almost like they're trying to beat some record. I mean, the violence, it really does need to stop. I mean, Baltimore isn't a bad city. I grew up here.
Some of the others killed include 83-year-old Dorothy Mae Neal. Police charged a 14-year-old and say he also raped her. Jacqueline Smith, an engineer who was stabbed to death while giving money to a woman panhandling with a baby. 7-year-old Taylor Hayes, killed in a drive-by shooting. Her 5-year-old sister Amy survived being shot just months later. And 18-year-old Devontae Friedman, who spoke about violence prevention before the city council. Governor Hogan did not hold back, speaking about the stubbornly high murder rate.
We're very frustrated, but we're continuing to work with all the federal, state, and local partners to try to assist the city with this terrible problem that there doesn't seem to be a lot of progress with.
Baltimore has had 3 police commissioners this year alone, with a 4th one on the way.
It's unacceptable. A start would be for Baltimore City to have a violent crime plan. It would be good if they had a police commissioner who could stay more than a few months.
The 300th murder was a man shot in the face on Baker Street in West Baltimore.
Live on Garrison Boulevard, you see the sign, "Rest in Peace, Moses," to the victim here. There were 342 murders in Baltimore City last year. The governor also talked about an upcoming violent crime strike force that's coming in that's made up of federal, state, and local law enforcement. Reporting live in Northwest Baltimore, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Right. All right. So we have Baltimore reaches 300 homicides for the 4th straight year, they say. And they were talking about the 30-year-old man was fatally shot in the face and upper body late Wednesday night, right? Then they said that there was another man was killed in Sandtown, Winchester, just before midnight. And following 3 non-fatal shootings after that. So after that, they end up reaching the 300 mark. Homicides are down 10% from last year, they say, but other crime categories are trending down as well. But the interim commissioner, Gary Tuggle, said that in an interview last week that he talked to the Baltimore Sun, he says it's a number that one day that we have to pay close attention to. Homicides number 1 with 100 homicides, and then 200 after that, right? So what's going on in Baltimore, which is going on in all chocolate cities? Unemployment, bad education, no place for employment. So what is it going to breed? I mean, it's easy to resolve these situations if you really wanted to, and it's not. Incarcerating is never going to be the cure. Because even if you incarcerate somebody and they do their bid and they get out, the situation ain't changed from the last time when you took them from there, right? So it's kind of really simple to, resolve those issues. But again, I'm pretty sure people are saying, well, if you took care of your own people, well, I guess if we can make some amends to the reason why we so behind, then afterwards you could use that as your crutch. But until then, the onus is going to become on you, right? You the one that cocated us. Oh, I ain't going to tell you that, but I didn't cocade. You the one brought us into your family, right? And made us a part of your family. Now, you made us be the black sheep of the family, right? And then we just supposed to just find a way and make our way. And if some of us are more appealing to you, then we might have a little more success. And the other ones that may not be, well, damn if you do, damn if you don't. So we see Baltimore, just like Chicago and any other cities that's around this place that we call the United States, fighting against poverty. And if any place, again, like a stagecoach, if you're sitting in the middle somewhere and the bandit should run past you, you most likely will be a victim. That doesn't condone it, but it's just a reason that that's what it is. If everything is changing and demographics and changing and people are becoming, again, homelessness is rising as well, right? Then you're talking about cutting food stamps. So that means there's going to be a lot of people out here who are in dire needs some kind of economic assistance, And if they can't get no assistance, and again, if you think about it from the drug game, they about killing that too, right? When legalizing the drugs will kill the drug game. Doesn't anybody peeping all that? So if you can go on Walgreens and get you a bag, get your blow, get your heroin, all that. They talking about legalizing that too, right? So you putting the street organizations out of business. What happens then? Oh, everybody become a stagecoach if you're around them areas. So that's why you have to be looking at this. So I'm just saying, brothers, what's going on over there? But I know what it is. We all know what it is. But if they really want to solve it, they could. There's ways you could do it. But then it would cut into your profits, right? You want to make America great again, as y'all say, and talking about bringing back the jobs. But we know that's only a front because, again, no one creates a business not for profit. So you can't just tell the American DOS that you could give him anything. He understands the rules and regulations. He knows what certain is minimum wage, and he knows what kind of benefits he should be getting. But you trying to get away from that. So you try to go to the lower, somebody who don't know the game, somebody who brand new, right? So what does happen to the ones that you had before? You leave them stranded. You leave them in destitute. So guess what they're going to do? Survive by any means possible. As long as it's not around you, I guess it's okay for the environment they in. But just like the other day, I did the story about the coyotes, right? The coyotes got their area too. And they can't find nothing to eat there. And guess what they starting to do? They're migrating in. That's only natural. That's only natural. All right. Don't say you wasn't told. All right, going on. So again, as we talking about employment, right? We're going to talk about employment a little bit there. I'm going to, I'll make the bridge there. So again, just not too long ago, I was reading where it said that Uber was going to start giving, employees hourly wages. A lot of them that was getting that, and they was breaking themselves, trying to pay for the car, and then they wouldn't just get as many, fares. So they were just wasting their money on gas, right? Gas and lunch. They wouldn't even, what I'm saying? So now they came up with this, I think it started in New York, where they're going to start paying the Uber drivers, right, some money so that, those who thinking is a mean to, make some money. Then I seen this story today, and I said, I'll be damned, boy. See, that's how you do. Say they're going to do this, and then they got another plan to do this. Well, let me show what I'm talking about and be right back.
Tonight, Uber promising safety over speed for its self-driving cars, now back on the road in Pittsburgh. The news 9 months after Uber's driverless car killed a woman crossing a street in Tempe. The car's backup driver looking at her phone.
Uber's got a long way to go to build that public trust, particularly when we're talking about driverless cars.
A New York Times report showed the cars failing 10 out of 70 safety tests. In a statement, Uber says, "We've made safety core to everything we do. We are ready to move forward." The safety change is significant. Uber slashing the top speed from 55 miles an hour to 25, promising to only drive during the daylight on weekdays. For now, the self-driving cars are only for testing, no passengers yet, as Uber tries to steer the program in a safer direction. Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
All right, so we see Uber is moving forward, right, with the self-driving car. You know why they trying to move forward? Because again, as I just told you, in New York, they passed the bill where they're going to start paying Uber hourly rates and putting the onus on the, those who like dispatching from within to make sure that they get some work, because otherwise you paying them just to be there. So, that means they're going to hustle to make sure they're getting more work, right? So they know that will be cutting into profits. So the idea now is we better get this self-driving shit on point so we can eliminate that. And again, I don't know how comfortable I would be sitting in my fucking car, ain't no driving in the motherfucker. Because again, let's just say, for instance, with all the way this technology is going, let's just say that, okay, when you get in, again, you use your phone, right, to order up your Uber and so forth, and then, okay, you got your account, your name and all that, so forth. Let's just say, after you. Let's say the man is after you. You get in the car thinking you're going to your destination. The car's driving you straight to the man. What you going to be able to do? Huh? You start realizing, hey, man, this ain't the way I'm supposed to be going. Huh? So what you got to do? Bust the glass out and all that, try to get up out of there and all that, right? So there's a lot of things that can be used for, not just for the simple fact that they're just talking about drugs. There's a lot of other ways they can be used in that. So I'm just saying, again, I'm looking at it from, again, you just said this here, which again, when anytime you see something start here, it's just a matter of time it's going to start everywhere else. And as we go into this show, I got something that I'm going to show you that happened somewhere that I know eventually it's going to come here. You heard it first here. So, Uber, right? Uber and Lyft and all that, again, they're in the business for profit. They're not in there for making you to have a comfortable life. It's about making profits. And I guess, the AI, right? They're trying to make the intelligence equivalent to a human being, or actually you can store more information and probably do things a lot more efficient. At least that's what they believe. Again, there's always a downside because, again, what happens to the people? Oh, they're going to give you universal checks. They're going to come with this universal thing where they're going to give you these paychecks, right? Give you the paycheck. But again, the criteria or the stipulation in it, in order for you to get that, mean you're going to have to take all these shots and do all, huh? Oh, yeah, Mr. Blue, I'll be reading. I'm just telling you some stuff that I ain't put out yet, but that's where they going. So anyway, let's move forward. Let me look back out here, see who out here. I got a couple more people in the house. That's good to see that, y'all. All right, let's see who else up in here. See if I got a couple messages up in here, okay? All right, let me see. Let me read a couple of these messages up in here. I got, let's see. Okay, I did that already. I'll say Kabir Bey talking about fingerprints. Sue the bank, right? You say sue the bank, right? Right, they got your fingerprints. They had all that. Oh, that could have been rectified. I mean, come on. You wait somebody go through all that process and then gonna call the police on them. Some hating shit, you know what I'm saying? You talking about somebody who would have dropped that clapping on his neck when I had my hair cut, right? Oh, but Don Thomas said, hey, you made me cut that, man. There were gonna be some problems, right? Okay. What else we got in here? We got they wouldn't have castrated me for public. Hell, you had dreads hanging out the helmet during the football games. But again, that's what I'm saying. Was it policy? You know what I'm saying? But now, was it policy that a wrestler can't have his hair a certain length, or was just a simple fact that, again, the discretion fell under the referee? And again, the symbolism to a referee is black and white, meaning he don't have no bias. We know damn well referees be having favoritisms and biases against your ass, right? And so that's what it might have been. Again, I believe he might have been a hometown boy they was wrestling against a hometown team. And, this is something, again, sometimes people do stuff because they can get away with it. Worked somewhere before, motherfucker was talking shit while you at work. Be talking that shit while you at work. So they know you kind of constrained because you at work. And you be like, motherfucker, if I went at work, I'll bust your ass, right? But you can't because I'm at work. So they get away with it, right? Some people, they know that. But then, again, you can go on YouTube and you can find where whole damn stove go up. Motherfuckers back there hitting your ass with the back of the rack with the fried rack in your head and all that. Some of them just don't get no fuck, right? They'll do it. Just depending on who you do it with, right? But you're right about that, though. But now, yeah, the thing is, see, that's where that teaching come in at. But again, he had a choice to make. Either he do the wrestling, maybe he relying on that, thinking that maybe he was going to get a scholarship. Maybe, he didn't want to do that. See, it put him in a conundrum. It had him fucked up, and he made that decision. Now, it looked like everybody that was around him was everybody other than, and he looked kind of, African. You know what I'm saying? He was African, right? And so that don't negate the fact that what he did is just the fact that they came giving him fire, shaking the hand. The girl with the scissors, she came with the quickness. Why did you come up with some way of maybe tying it up or come up with some other way than cutting it? Oh no, you wanted to do that, right? So like you said, you might have got the clapping on, right? I heard that. Let's see. We'll see how China got to be a superpower in 40 years. Don't know. No one gave a one. Yeah, that one to 40 years. I'll pull that back up. I think I might still got that in here. I could pull it up because nobody. I asked if anybody wanted to see it. I think CDG did, but it was always at the end, so I didn't do it. But I'll do it. Let's see what else up in here. CDG, what's the piece? What's good? Same how Japanese. Okay, you talking about that one? They realize in the blackening planet they need to finally acknowledge their funny looking short Neanderthal cousins. Okay. Okay. Wipe them with a yeah. You understand the analogy when I said wipe his ass with a napkin, right? I'm pretty everybody know what I'm talking about. Brothers, you know what I'm talking about. That motherfucker kind of shit. You gonna birth the motherfucker, they're gonna come in and knock you out. If you give me an announcement, I would have wiped your ass in the napkin and put you down the toilet. I'd have been done with you. All that shit. Okay. Yeah, they don't care about probably racist corner owners. Okay, the jobs are all in the jail. Right. All the quality jobs, all the jobs, the technical, all, you know what I'm saying, the so-called warehouse and all of them jobs, you can get a good ass job if you get locked up. Matter of fact, Bernard, if you've seen that video I had did, when I talk about those CCA and all that, and the woman was doing she was doing an infomercial, making the shit sound like it was some beautiful shit you want to go to. She was like, well, you know, your workers, they're on time every day. They don't have to worry about paying rent. And it was like, damn, that shit sound good. Maybe but you got to be locked up to get the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? This place is crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's really crazy. They always mention jobs outsourced to India and China. No one mentions the pennies and our jobs in prison. Facts. Well, they only go to people who brand new, right? And then that's the backup. Backup is the prison, right? Because again, can you refuse? Can you refuse not to work when you locked up? Can you refuse? You know what I'm saying? Put your ass in the hole, right? So outsource is just, again, those are other places that they done colonized. They done got them all twisted up. When you talk about India, that caste system, light fair wants to think he better than the Dravidians and all, a lot of nonsense, right? A whole lot of bullshit in there. Now Thomas says, yep, I figure it's the FEMA camps out of jails. They just pull a 3-car Molly with all these camps in the woods, but the real camp is jail. Facts. Facts, my brother. Facts. Now Thompson also says they have a self-driving 18-wheelers in Arizona. My truck, if I set to cruise, will stop and speed up and keep distance from the cars in front of me. Yeah, because they're building all that sensor. Because a lot of these cars now got that. Well, I remember when they started putting the computer chips in the keys, right? So I knew they was changing it up. If you remember, they was starting, that key cost way more money, right? Like $80, $100. If you had a car that had the chip in the shit. So I knew they was changing the technology. So I guess I bet all them sensors, all that, they getting it all set up, man. This shit is already set up to do what they gonna do. So it's just a matter of time. Again, those who've been around a little bit, we adapting to this shit. We just saying, okay, you know, you make the transition the best way you can, but sometimes you keep you still keep what you know, because we know what we know before now, more solid. This shit here has more implications of, entrapment and all kind of other shit, or motherfucker just, again, like I say, getting in an Uber with no driver and this motherfucker driving you where the fuck he want to take you. Right? That kind of shit. So you're right about that, bro. That's real facts. All right, so let me get back onto the show. Appreciate that, y'all. Hit that like button, dislike button, comment. It's all good. All right, so here's another situation. Again, this one's already been played, but I didn't play it, so I'll bring it out. Again, I done talked about this before when we talk about that damn moon shit, right? We know, most of my old black folks used to be like, they ain't going no goddamn moon. You know what I'm saying? They told you they didn't go no damn moon. Matter of fact, like I said, we learned in the Van Halen belt. That shit they told us you can't get through the Van Halen belt. And there's more than one Van Halen belt. There's like 1, 2, and 3, right? So how you getting through that? So this person here put it on the line. And boy, they got mad about that shit. Like, what you get mad about? Why y'all get upset? Because he told some truth? Oh, here you go. Be right back.
Was Steph Curry joking when he said he doesn't believe Americans landed on the moon a half-century ago?
We ever been to the moon? Nope. They gonna come get us. I don't think so either. Sorry, I don't want to start a conspiracy. They ain't been on the moon.
You don't think so? The basketball superstar made the bizarre comments during a podcast, and there's big reaction today.
Curry has yet to comment, but my guess is he's going to weigh on this, whether he was just joking around. Steph, come on, you got to clean this one up.
The New York Times says Curry's comments made him the enemy of science teachers everywhere. Former astronaut Scott Kelly tweeted, "Steph, so much respect for you, but regarding the moon landing thing, let's talk."
It's one small step for man.
The ludicrous notion that the Apollo landings were fake is an old conspiracy theory. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon on July 20th, 1969, a monumental achievement depicted this year in the movie First Man. NASA is now inviting Steph Curry to visit the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where he can see with his own eyes the moon rocks collected by the 6 missions that landed Americans on the lunar surface.
One giant leap for mankind.
How was the flag waving? How was the flag waving in the air? Why didn't you show the original when they used to wave? Motherfucking flag was waving in the I thought there was no air in space. I seen Capricorn 1. Motherfucker, you can't tell me that bullshit. You want to talk about that movie that he need to go see? I'm going to tell you, go see Capricorn 1. OJ was in it. OJ Simpson was in that one. And they said the whole thing is set up on how they did the Hollywood thing. They ain't even went nowhere, right? And they killed them all, so they went, but one got back, right? Why is they upset? Because he said he don't believe it. You gonna say, well, we're gonna take you somewhere where you can see some rocks. What does that? Okay, with high definition cameras and the technology you claim you got, they just get up on the moon and show us. Why are we seeing this distant shit or some phony shit? Since okay, that was in what, 60, right? That back in the 60s, right? So we've been over 50 years. You can't show us nothing on the moon yet. You ain't got a McDonald's on that mother, KFC, none of that yet, right? Y'all been up there that long? You ain't no KFC in this motherfucker yet? No KFC, no McDonald's, right? They ain't real. You ain't got that up there, right? They ain't real yet. So, Steph just saying what, we know. We don't believe everything because y'all say it. You got to ask yourself, how did you know to have enough fuel from the ground to get to some place you never been? How'd you know you could get back? Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. I know y'all want to be greater than our ancestors. I know that. We built the pyramids that you couldn't figure out how they did. Y'all come with all your, you talking about conspiracy theory. Y'all come up with way more conspiracy theory. You even said niggas from space came and did it. You won't even say who really did it. You'll say, well, the aliens did that. You niggas didn't do that shit. They came from space, right? So by you going to space make you think you're greater than our ancestors. You're never going to beat that. Because again, nobody trusts what y'all say other than y'all. Y'all take it as the truth. You ain't gave us no proof. Don't show me no rocks in no museum. Show me the moon. Don't tell me you're going to Mars. Show me the moon first. Leave them alone, man. Leave them motherfuckers alone. Y'all know who believe that shit. No, black folks really don't believe it. Now, if you're brand new and you all into that science, you might get you with that. Old folks been done told they ain't went to no damn moon. And I'm saying I trust what they said. They ain't lied to me about nothing yet. So you won't go with that unless you been in the suit and went up there yourself. That's conspiracy theory in itself. To even say that you don't believe this conspiracy theory or talk about again, they showed, remember in his helmet, the reflection, you seen the dude in the back with the camera. It was like, well, who was that dude? Then they stopped showing that after a while, right? And again, when he first went on there, you know, he bouncing, you know, little Armstrong, he bouncing, I guess it was Armstrong, right? He bouncing, and then the American flag was waving, but you thought this wasn't no air. We've been around a little bit, y'all. We've been around. I ain't gonna say no more about that. But that Steph Curry, you done made your mark. Man, you ain't got to say no more. Leave that shit alone. So what? You gonna put the onus on him? Well, you know, all the science teachers of school, that means the kids, right? So they have effect on the kid, and they gonna talk about you, so they'll dislike you. Come on, man. Y'all funny with that. Y'all funny with that. Matter of fact, while we talking about kids, oh, this one's gonna blow y'all head. This one they may make. I can't play the video, depending if somebody sitting up in here, they might say you can't play that one no more. All right, you know, again, like they doing confusion, right? We don't know whether they really went to the moon or not. Some of us speculate, say they didn't go. They'll say, well, they did. And they say, well, we got evidence. And we say, well, you ain't got no evidence, right? So they tell Steph Curry, well, you know, all the science teachers, right? Okay, so now we know I'm getting you back into the school. So this curriculum came up. I seen this and I was like, oh my God, man. There's some wild shit here, right here. I don't got no video for it, but the article itself is going to be very self-explanatory, right? So let me play this first and then we come back. I ain't going to say no more about it. Let me show you this. Eight-year-olds will be told boys can have periods too under new sex education guidelines. You know I'm going to say that again. 8-year-olds will be told boys can have periods too under new sex education guidelines. This story was done December the 18th, 2018. And this is how it reads. Pupils as young as 8 at a UK primary school will be told that all genders can have periods under new sex education guidelines. The guidelines on menstruation and sex education were issued to teachers in Brighton and Hove to help them avoid offending girls who identify as boys. The move had been condemned as unnecessary confusion for young children and yet another example of political correctness gone mad. The Mail Online reports the teacher's guidance from Brighton and Hove City Council states transgender boys and men and non-binary people may have periods. It says language about menstruation must be inclusive of all genders and others that bins for used period products are provided in all toilets for children. But Tory MP David Davis described it as insanity for teachers to be explaining the concept of transgender boys having periods to 8-year-olds. Learning about periods is already a difficult subject for children that age, so to throw the idea of girls who believe that they are boys also have periods will leave them completely confused, he added. Stephanie Davies Ari from the campaign group Transgender Trend said, girls going through puberty are already having a difficult time. What they should be given is clear language to be able to talk about their bodies and their female biological functions without couching it in political correct terms. And feminist campaigner Julie Bindel said, to tell impressionable children that boys can also menstruate sidelines girls who should be getting support when they start their periods. The emergence of the guidance comes after it was reported that a state secondary in Brighton has 40 pupils who do not identify as the gender presented at birth. Oh, I tell you, boy, I can see it. I be seeing the numbers, boy. They was really pushing that one. They were trying to get that out of here. Ain't that something? They gonna start telling 8-year-olds boys that they had periods too. What in the world? Is that a man or a girl? Huh? That's where we going. What in the world? Is that a man or a girl? Confusion. Huh? In order to make the mind of those, again, I'm still not understanding that. Oh, maybe somebody can make me understand this. How is it at that age, okay, 8 years old, again, I was telling y'all the other day about me being 7 years old, being in the second grade, and again, talking about the teacher punching me in the stomach and all that other shit, and all that other shit, right? At that time, I know too much. Again, I see girls. I don't know. Back in the day, we talking about pants to pants. That was way old school, right? Pants to pants was probably right. Now, only time you learn other than that is if you got older brother, sister. They playing house, and you learn all that stuff. And that pants to pants. So I'm saying, at this day and age, how does somebody in 8th grade? I mean, not 8th grade, 8 years old, already know they not what they is born naturally? Who's putting that in their head? How does a person at 8 years old already know that I'm in the wrong body? And in this particular article talking about they had 40 already. Oh man. So if it's happening there, again, it's being infused. Again, remember I told y'all some while back about, they talk about they call them Z, right? Gender Z, which is both, like a hermaphrodite, right? Right? A hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite, for those who might not know what a hermaphrodite is, having both sexes, right? So, right, unisex, making that, again, that's the teaching where it's going, right? Again, because again, people are having, I guess, mixed, ideas of head and then what their body is. So they want to be classified if you're born biologically as a male, that internally I'm a female, and vice versa with a female, but I'm male. So the curriculum for sex education they want is to, tell the boys that you got a period. So now we see when that video, again, maybe because y'all didn't see it, I'm not saying y'all didn't see it, I'm just saying for those who are hearing that may not see it, I'm going to play the next show, that one where the grandfather had to go to the school because the teacher was putting the little boy in a dress and the mama didn't like it. So you know how sometimes when women doing stuff, they ain't listen to her, so you come with us, then they going to say, oh, the angry black man came now, right? So call the police. Well, he told, look, y'all stop putting this damn dress on my boy. You confusing him, right? Well, we see the curriculum is being infused and will be infused. So that's why those, whether you got grandchildren, you got children, or whatever it's going to be, you got to be knowing what they putting. You got to be helping them, and, because you know how it is. Sometimes you got work and stuff. You might have been out of school a bit. They make it, again, they came with that old new kind of math, right? We did math simplistic way. They had this other kind of, this other kind of math. I say, you went the long way to get a short answer? You did all that extra shit to get you just did this. And that way they can't even do it that way. That's like foreign to them. Like they you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, they do that so that they can, you understand? They can infuse that shit. So that's a wild ass story right there. Very wild. Very wild. And there's a lot of them stories, but a lot of time I don't bring that. But I'm going to stop bringing them, let y'all see some real wild shit. I be seeing a lot of that shit over there. All right, so what else I got in my bag for you? While we talking on that, again, we're talking about sex, right? Well, how about this? Maybe y'all up on this. Maybe y'all might be up on this. You know how men, there's some men that tell women, I don't like putting on skin. I don't like putting on the skin. I like to go raw, all that, right? And so, they got some men who got this way. They got a little, they got a crossover move they're doing. Like they act like they got it, and then they find some way and they get in, right? Well, there was a case that came up about something like this, and they got a term for that too, right? And they about to make this legislatively. Check this out. I'll be back. Check this out.
Is receiving backlash on social media for a new bill she's proposing. If passed, the legislation will make something known as stealthing sexual assault. Melina Jones has more on the proposal that has a lot of people talking, Melina.
Well, Eric, the new proposal has recently gained national attention. Representative Melissa Sargent hopes her bill will help to stop the act that she says is not only happening here locally, but throughout the country. Stealthing, the act of removing a condom during sex without permission.
One of the most intimate ways that you can violate someone. It's clearly sexual assault. We need to call it what it is.
Representative Melissa Sargent says that act should be illegal. She's proposing a bill that says if a man or woman removes or tampers with a sexually protective device during sex without consent, it should be classified as sexual assault. She's received personal attacks from the idea on social media.
To say that because I'm standing up for victims' rights, that it must mean that I'm just not getting enough, or that I deserve to be sexually assaulted. That's not how we continue to move our community forward either.
Erin Thornley Parisi, executive director of the Dane County Rape Crisis Center, says the deception is what makes it assault.
Terms are changed and it now becomes something that is non-consensual.
A website uncovered from a recent report on stealthing from the Columbia Journal of Gender and Law showed men promoting the idea and teaching people how to do it. In the report, women who admitted being victims of stealthing became pregnant and contracted sexually transmitted infections.
It's not a matter of whether or not stealthing is happening in our communities. It is. It's what we as policymakers and we as a society are going to do to stand up against it.
Parisi says she supports the idea behind the proposal, but has some concerns on the effects of the bill.
Anytime that you look at something that can be good for women, there will be people who will use it against women.
Now, California is currently working on a similar bill. Both Madison and UW police say they have had no reports of stealthing. Sargent says because we have no laws in place to prevent it, the act is bound to go unreported.
Melina Jones in our news center tonight. Melina, thank you.
Police officer found guilty of condom stealthing in landmark trial. You know I'm going to say that again. Police officer found guilty of condom stealthing in landmark trial. This story was done December the 20th, 2018 from the CNN News, and this is how it reads. German police officer had been found guilty of sexual assault for removing a condom during sexual intercourse without the consent of his partner, an act known as stealthing in what is believed to be the first case of its kind to be prosecuted in Germany. The defendant, 36, was found guilty at a local court in Berlin on December 11th after carrying out the defense at his apartment in the German capital on November 18, 2017, says Berlin Chief Court spokeswoman Lisa Janney. He received an 8-month suspended jail sentence from the court and was fined $3,000 in damages, along with $96 fine to pay for a sexual health test for the female victim. The victim told the court that she explicitly requested the man to wear a condom and gave no consent to sexual intercourse without protection. She added that she realized that the man had been wearing a condom only when he ejaculated, according to Janney. The woman subsequently left his flat in rage, worried that she might have caught a sexual transmitted disease, and called the police to the defendant's property, but he did not open the door. Stealthing is the subject of continual legal and linguistic global debate. Its prosecution has only been made possible in Germany since the country's sexual crime laws were reformed in 2016, placing greater weight on consent when considering sexual assault claims. Legal expert Alexandra Brodsky wrote on the topic in the Columbia Journal of Gender and Law, advocating for a new civil law that would specifically name the practices as non-consensual condom removal in order to help victims gain justice. Brodsky also noted that though no stealthing cases have been reviewed in the United States, criminal trials have taken place in other countries, including Switzerland and Canada. In 2017, a man was convicted of rape in a criminal court of Lausanne, Switzerland, after taking off a condom during sexual intercourse without knowledge of his partner. A 2014 Supreme Court of Canada ruling also upheld a sexual assault conviction of a man who pierced holes in a condom without his sexual partner's knowledge. He had previously been convicted of aggravated sexual assault and sentenced to 18 months in prison. Jandy confirmed to CNN that the police officer in Germany case was tried for rape, but noted that the court only found him guilty of sexual assault. She added that while the court found his act of stealthing to be non-consensual, the sexual intercourse itself was deemed to be consensual. If the man had been found guilty of rape, he would have faced a sentence of at least 2 years in prison, the statutory minimum sentence in Germany. Johnny, however, noted that the prosecution of stealthing remains in a gray area, as the defendant is, to her knowledge, the first person to be convicted of the offense in Germany. There is no precedence on which the judge could rely, she told CNN. The man defended himself in court by stating that the condom had already ripped, prompting him to remove it completely. He also claimed that he ejaculated outside the woman's body and asserted the victim denies, or assertion that the victim denies. The defendant has since stated that he will appeal the verdict to one or two higher courts in Berlin, and the final outcome is still undetermined. Prior to the reform of Germany's sexual crime laws in 2016, the country's legislation was considered antiquated, as it requires victims to show that they physically resisted attack before charges of rape and sexual assault could be brought forward. Following backlash in the wake of sexual assaults carried out in Cologne on New Year's Eve of 2015 and 16, the government overhauled the legislation and based it on the tenet of no means no. We need strong sexual crime legislation. What we currently have is far too weak. Germany former Minister for Women's Manuela Schwegg told Germany news site SVZ prior to the 2016 reform, rapes against women are often not punished as crimes. The blame is often pinned on women, and the perpetrator goes unpunished. The new legislation now takes into account any verbal or physical cues or objection to sexual contact, meaning that any victim who voices their refusal prior to a sexual assault can file a criminal complaint. The regulation also makes groping a sexual offense, facilitates the deportation of migrants, convicts of sexual assaults, and enables the prosecution of entire groups of individuals. All right, so we back. You know, I got to fix that mic every time I get on. I don't know why they got it like this. Then I did something. But anyway, so we find out that the term when a man is trying to be slick and pull the condom off is called stealthing, right? And so have a case that's becoming a landmark case or a landmark trial is because, again, when it starts somewhere, it eventually is going to be implemented everywhere. So, but at the beginning of it, it's talking about a police officer who was found guilty of stealthing, right? Right, a police officer, you know, doing what he do, but he just happened to be a police officer, right? And so during the sexual intercourse, without the consent of the partner, letting her know, or he know, I guess, right? I guess it was a female, right? And you know, I get it, right? We get that, right? You know, again, there's situations where you have an intercourse and the condom breaks, right? So under that circumstance, would you still be liable? Could you still be held? Again, I get there's a twofold, there's a double-edged sword on this. One aspect of it, yes, if a woman says, no, you gotta put the skin on. You gotta put the lamb on, right? You gotta put a helmet on your soldier, right? Right? So if you got to do that, you got to do it. That's part of the agreement of the intercourse between the two individuals. Now, again, you know, some brothers, they got a lot of excuse. Some say, oh, I'm allergic to latex and all kind of stuff they say, right? Well, I'm going that way. Ain't nothing, like an old song, ain't nothing going on but the rent. Well, ain't got nothing going on without the skin, right? And so in the protection way, yes, legally, I can understand that being, you know, implemented for the cats that do that, right? Now, I don't know where the rape coming in at, if that's consensual, because again, that's how the police officer end up getting a lower sentence, because it was consensuality made between the two. The only thing, he was trying to be slick by pulling it off. Now, again, we in this day and age where, you know, the high propensity for catching some kind of STDs or some kind of, you know, transmitted disease. So again, people are trying to be very cautious about, again, especially if you dipping and dabbing everywhere, right? Because again, you know, dipping from one sauce and mixing it into another sauce, and you know, it's kind of like, you know, going to 7-Eleven. If you from where I'm from, you got a 7-Eleven. I don't know what y'all store, a little convenience store. You go and he said when they first started bringing out the sodas, right, in the back. So you know, you get a Big Gulp. All right, Big Gulp with this big ass cup. You know, you put 89 cents, whatever it was back in the day, right? So you putting all different kinds of, you know, you put Fanta, you put some Hawaiian Punch, and some, you know, you put all this mixed up, and then you just got this, you know, this drink you done made, right? Well, that's the same thing like sex. Mug dipping here, dipping there, she dipping here, dipping there, and you did all this stuff. So yeah, people got to put on and try to protect themselves. So in one aspect, I get it, but you know, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Kabir, you know this is a form of birth control as well, right? Because again, it's all about making people have conscious decisions about things that they're doing when it pertaining to, you know, just like we seen yesterday, for those who seen the show yesterday, about the man that was able to sue the player, right? He didn't get to sue the woman, he sued the player. So again, look at how all this is being pieced together, right? It's all about birth control, but again, there's two-fold cuts. There is a protection aspect for women. That dudes that do that, they try to, you know, some dudes' game is to get you pregnant, women, so they, you know what I'm saying, he stay in contact with you. You know, it could be, you know, he can get in, he can always get back in, right? There's some dudes out here that do that, right? And so if you say this and they do that, then yeah, legally you should be able to use that, right? But again, it's cutting two-fold ways, right? And again, like I said, what if happens if you should be having intercourse and it break? And you keep going, knowing it then make you, it's still on. Then you come out, oh, it's bust, right? So does that still apply? Or is there some, you know, again? So again, you know, bring some information out there again, because, you know, it's out here, man. And again, you know they coming, because again, it's, you know, it's getting about that, right? It's about that whole Planned Parenthood, that whole thing with Margaret Sanger, and coming to more fruition. So we'll move on that. I'll read some of them comments when I get out there and see what y'all talking about on that. All right, so I got this here. Now, since we on the sex part, right? Well, you know, people trying to clean house. Just let me talk about that. Keeping it clean, keeping your soldier with a helmet on, right? So here is the church. Church is like, look, enough is enough, right? This got to stop, man. We ain't looking good. So I'm gonna have to put this. I'm gonna have to put this decree. I'm gonna have to put this ultimatum out there. It's gonna have. This what it got to be. Whether it rub you wrong or not, this is what it got to be. And this message is for you particular. Well, let's see who they talking about. Check this out and we'll be back.
Sia chiaro che dinanzi a questi abomini la Chiesa non si risparmierà nel compiere tutto il necessario per consegnare alla giustizia chiunque abbia commesso tali delitti. La Chiesa non cercherà mai di insabbiare o sottovalutare nessun caso. Ciò non deve accadere mai più. Questa è la scelta e la decisione di tutta la Chiesa.
As the Vatican prepares to celebrate Christmas, Pope Francis makes a promise. He vows the Catholic Church will never again cover up clergy sex abuse.
Dobbiamo giudicare il passato con l'ermeneutica del passato.
The Holy Father dedicated his annual Christmas speech to Vatican officials to the abuse crisis. The scandal has shaken his papacy and caused a crisis of confidence in Catholic leadership. Edward Pinton, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register, joins us. Edward, this was quite an extraordinary speech. What was the Pope's message?
Yes, it was a very strong message, Wyatt. He talks about, he really asks abusive priests to turn themselves in. He says, convert and hand yourselves over to human justice and prepare for divine justice. So very strong words there from the Pope. But he also says that they are vicious wolves, as he puts it, who prey on the innocent. But he also acknowledges the problems in the church in terms of acknowledging this crisis and actually dealing with it responsibly and seriously. But at the same time, he also calls on victims to come forward, and he thanks the media as well for shining a light on this and bringing these scandals to public attention.
Well, the Pope has convened bishop leaders from around the world in Rome in February to address the sex abuse crisis. What did the Pope say about that meeting?
Well, he basically says that the conference is going to restate the Church's commitment to eliminating this scourge. But he also says not just for the Church, but also for the world. He says he wants this conference to draw on what the Church has learned in dealing with this crisis and to share it with the world, and so that the world can also deal with this scourge that affects not just the Church, but society in general.
So, Edward, then what do you think the speech tells us about the Pope's overall priorities and concerns?
Well, I think he talks about other things in the speech, where he also talks about persecuted Christians, the plight of persecuted Christians, the plight of migrants, victims of violence, and the poor. But clearly the sexual abuse crisis is really of great concern to him. It takes up most of this speech. And as many viewers will know, it's a very big crisis this year. And so he focuses on that in this speech. But I think many people will be wanting to see how whether actions are actually followed up. And these aren't just words. Whether there is zero tolerance, whether the cover-ups are properly dealt with, and whether the issue of homosexuality is also tackled. And I think people will be wanting to see whether these are actions that are following up on the words in the coming year.
And we'll be carefully watching to see what actions the Pope takes in the new year. Edward Pinton, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Watt.
Pope Francis, pedophile priests must turn themselves in or go to hell. You know I'm going to say that again. Pope Francis, pedophile priests must turn themselves in or go to hell. This story was done in the Daily Beast, December the 21st, 2018. And this is how it reads. Pope Francis has urged pedophile priests to turn themselves in or prepare for divine justice in hell. It's not clear if Francis was instructing predator priests to turn themselves over to the church authorities or the police, but Vatican sources told Reuters that it was the first time the Pope had made such a strong and direct appeal to them. To those who abuse minors, I would say this: convert and hand yourself over to human justice and prepare for divine justice. Francis reportedly said in his traditional Christmas address to the Curia, the Vatican Central Administration, "Let it be clear that, faced with these abominations, the Church will spare no effort to do all that it is necessary to bring to justice whoever has committed such crimes. The Church will never seek to hush up or not to take seriously any case." Earlier this year, Francis first strongly defended a bishop in Chile who had been accused of covering up abuse, only later to launch an inquiry and accept the resignation of that bishop and others. The Pope acknowledged that the church made serious errors in the past, but promised to make past mistakes opportunities for eliminating this scourge. All right, so the Pope has spoken to the conclave. He said, hey, you up in here doing what you're doing, turn yourself in. Prepare to go to hell. Ooh, that's strong. Huh? That's real talk. But again, if that's the game you really playing, that's real talk. Huh? Oh, Pope Francis is really trying to clean out what's been going on for a long period of time. I don't know what else could be said on that, right? What else could be said beyond that? Everybody who know anything about what's been going on with the Catholic Church and the priests and so forth, and all these stories over the years and decades and, you know what I'm saying, centuries, and right? It's been a lot of, you know what I'm saying, the stink is rising up into the nostrils. And he said, prepare for divine justice. Wow. That in itself, man, is self-explanatory for all this other. That's how we talking about. You know, this same thing they're talking about with the 8-year-olds and telling them, oh, boy can, you know, and all this Z and you know, all this stuff, man. It's coming to a culmination. It's coming to a point. Something got to give, because either it's this or it's that. There is no down the middle, right? Now, again, we don't make light of people. Again, now, in this case here, what he's talking about, that in itself is, we know is, you know, sickness, fetish, whatever you want to call it, right? But an organization that claimed to be about standards of moral and righteousness can't smell like booty. You get what I'm saying? Can't be smelling like booty like that. It might smell like booty up in there, right? And again, that's not talking about, I'm just saying, he talking about pedophiles, right? Now again, as I spoke once before, does pedophilia, is it kin to, right? Is it kin to? Or is it ostracized as it's not part of the other family? You get what I'm saying? Is this the black sheep of that family? Right? That is a kin, right? And so based on what's being said by the Pope said this shit got to stop. As long as he said, I'm cleaning the house and I'm going to put this divineness, again, I am the vicar, V-I-C-A-R, I am the vicar. I am the representative of Christ on, well, again, that's their game, right? Yeah, I'm just talking, y'all. That's their game. He's the vicar. He's a representation of the Jesus Christ, what is it, the buttermilk, light complexion, blue eye, blonde hair Jesus, right? And he's saying, hey, enough is enough. I can't sit in the helm because you're putting all the onus on me. So I got to say something. But boy, we're going to stay true to that one. A lot of implication can happen on that one. Some mysterious stuff can happen, right? We're going to see, right? Like I told once before, I told them the other people, I said, if you got a problem, that's where you need to go. But see, Pope Francis putting his foot down. He said, he's standing on it. I don't think they want to test that. I see all that they talking about, all this stuff they talking about. Pope Francis coming out now. He messing with family over here. They might be sick. They family, but they say, hey, so I don't think y'all want to mess with that. Anyway, Moving on. I ain't gonna say too much. Ain't nothing else to be said. Anything to be said on that? He said it's self-explanatory. It was very self-explanatory what he said. You know, if, ands, and buts. If this is what we playing this game and what we saying we doing, and this is what it is, and this is real, I got to stand on that. We're making all this look like a farce, and I ain't got no power in it. And I'm gonna be at the helm of it. And if it should be real, what I gotta take, what's it, being better off than not being born and put a rock around your neck and thrown to the middle of the ocean? Well. What a web they weaved. So, I got on before I get on into this show here. Well, you know, let me go and look back out here because I got one more. Let me see what's out here going on again. Got 5 in the house. Oh, a couple left out of here didn't like that one, huh? Sick as a fuck, huh? Other than you, I caught that one right there. Let's see, what was the last one I put on? Boy, y'all been getting it in. I like that, man. I like that y'all be conversing in here. That's good. Jobs in jail, I think I read that already. Read the FEMA camps, the moon. Okay, probably here. Okay, after the 16-wheeler, it says, Bernard Thomas said, I hear the moon is a satellite for the aliens. It's possible. That's possible. That's very possible. CDG says, just because whites believe they believe they own lies don't mean we have to. Yeah, but that's that too. They always say if you don't agree with them, then there's something wrong. Because see, it's like we need to validate they shit, right? Kind of like same thing that Bernard just said when he talking about he heard that the moon is a satellite, right, from aliens, right? Now, him saying that would be in disagreement to what they belief is, right? And so you don't go in accordance with them because they said making you don't know, but we know, and it's like no. You know, we got intuitiveness, right? We have spirituality, we have intuitiveness. Some people believe that everything you got to get is erudition. Okay, meaning you got to read it, right? Some of our people become black white people. You know what I mean when I say we become black white people, right? Black on the outside, but inside we just white. And everything that the way they do it and the way they do it, we come with the same conclusion. Sometimes we have to be observant and look at shit from our own perspective. With our own, again, what is it to be black-minded, black-souled? What is that? Right? Libels try to obtain that. Again, they can be who they are. We can be who we are. But some people think, no, we can't be who we are. We have to be what you want us to be in order to function, to make you feel comfortable. Because see, we look at stuff that you do and it's out of the norm to us, then there's something wrong with us. And that's not the truth. The truth is we normally call it right. We like the real umpire, the real referee. And everybody know that shit. When we say some shit, that shit be true. And everybody know that. So the job is to convince us, to validate the bullshit, right? So if we validate it, then it must be right. And so that's that tricking, what they call that tricknology, right? They trick your ass into doing some shit that you know that's against, and then you validate and say, well, see, they're doing it, so it must be right. So that's why we can't be doing that shit. So going on, Bernard says, where's the sunlight? It's always dark in the picture of the moon. Right. Is the sun out in space or the sun inside where the planet is? Right? Because on a sunny day, we can see the sun, right? Clearly. So we don't see but when they go out there again, because they ain't been no damn where. Again, I seen Capricorn 1. Can't fool me. I ain't seen the movie. I suggest if we could find it, look at it. Then you'd be able to say the same thing. So ain't no sunlight. It was just them lights and the flash of the camera, whatever. Again, they were saying that, matter of fact, I was just reading about like last week, they said China's on the dark side of the moon, right? They getting the other side. So it's funny as hell, like, y'all don't get along here, but you're going to go somewhere else. You got Russia up there, you got China up there, and you got the United States up there. But y'all don't get along and shit. Gonna go there and do the same shit. You the Midas touch. Wherever you go, instead of returning gold, gonna turn all right, we only turn the shit, right? All right. So what else we got up in here? Thomas says, NASA says they launched a shuttle out of the view of the camera and it landed in the water. Yeah, whatever happened to that? Hey, Bernard, whatever happened to that damn picture? Remember they fucked up that one time and they showed the brother was sitting there and he was on the pyramid and he was sitting there and everybody was like, it looked like an Egyptian. They stopped showing that shit. Remember that shit? They fucked up, right? And they never show that no more. They don't even show that no more. What happened to that picture? What happened to that? They stopped showing that one, right? But you're right, though. Yeah, they landed in water, right? So they got water up there. That's what they just saying, right? But again, we don't believe none of that shit. Leonard the Uter said, this is child abuse, period, point blank. With the 8-year-olds? Talking about some, gonna tell your little son, your grandson, your son, nephew, you know, boys have periods too. So he coming home to my mommy, can I have a tampon? You were like, what? Can I have a tampon? Huh? Boy, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? See, that's kind of like that joke that Kevin Hart said, right? Remember that joke that got him in trouble? That he said that if his son came and he said, hey, that's gay, right? Well, what would you, again, like you saying, child abuse. You taking somebody who that ain't even part of their mentality and thwarting it by telling them something like that and confusing the hell out of them because they're going like, well, where would I put the tampon at anyway? If you're going to use that one or the pad, right? I guess you got the pad or the stick or whatever, the tube, right? So he going to look at that. Where he supposed to put that in, right? So you going to tell him in the class? Where you going to tell him to put that in? Well, yeah, they need to stop that bullshit. They just need to stop it. And see, if we are not up on what they doing, then you know they infusing that shit. That's why I find the stories and I'll bring them over here and I'll be like, look, y'all, look at this shit I found. Look at this shit I found, right? Somebody's like, oh, that white shit. Boy, you better, well, what do you think the name of the game is? Yeah, we is who we is, but until this shit change, this is the shit that is you fighting against. This is the shit, you know, like that movie 300. Remember when they had to put the shield over and they was raining all them damn, they was throwing all the damn swords and shit on them? Well, that's the shit we gotta do. We gotta wait till the shit, we gotta be shielding our shit. So that we got to be seeing this shit coming. I gotta try to shield and protect. Because again, we only gonna be here so long as the prosperity, them behind us. They don't know. If we ain't telling them, they ain't gonna know. It'll be easy to get them. But anyway. Then you say they sick as fuck. Then you say white people, demonic programming, who's both genders. That's right, the Baphomet. Shaking my fucking head. CG, yep, Baphomet, Sodom and Gomorrah. But at the same time, Bernard Thomas said, but at the same time in California, if you have HIV, you don't have to tell your partner. All this shit, all these laws are confusing. Again, like I said before, you can be 16 and drive a car, but you can't buy no squares. You can be 18, buy a square, but you just can't buy no beer. Right? You can be 21, you can drive a car, drink beer, go to club, but your ass can't file for financial aid in college. Just a whole bunch of crazy shit. Just a whole bunch of shit. See, yes, more birth control. Richard, beyond sight. Shut that noise up. Please get a better mic. Well, why don't you donate and give me the mic money? I'll do that. How about that? Why don't you donate, sir? Why don't you do that? Since you said my mic is, you know, it could be my mic or it could be some other things that you don't know about what going on my show here doing, right? So if you would like to donate, I will be kindly to take it. Are you cool with that? Or are you not still in here? Right. We know Richard. We know rich beyond sight. Since you're so rich, come on, donate it. CG said they can't be smelling like booty. I'm dead. Well, you know, right, all those sit up in there with them skirts smelling like booty and shit. Let's look at we the sun people, the moon people, under the darkness while While we shine, okay. Bernard, I'm gonna have to get you on that phone, Bernard. So you go ahead and spit that lit on everybody, right? All right, so I'm coming down to my last one. So we're at that 2-hour mark. This one here, Natural Nature had been talking about it. I told them I normally be finding stuff on it, but this one here, I brought this because, again, when I was reading this article, right, I was reading this article and the stuff that it said in it, right? And we kind of know this shit, but then what they said, I'm like, damn, we've been eating this shit, and this is why, you know, the sicknesses were running rampant. But they're never going to attribute it to it because they're going to say, well, they say it's safe, right? Well, let me show what I'm talking about, and then I'll come back. Rich, send that paper if you send my mic. I know I got to tweak it because I had it perfect. They came and fucked my shit up, so I got to retweak it. Okay, I'll get it fixed. Don't worry about it. But I will take your donation.
Approving the sale of genetically modified salmon has recharged the debate over the future of our food. Critics call the modified salmon Frankenfish, but GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, have been part of our diet for years. Most of them are corn, soy, and other crops with added DNA from other organisms to increase their resistance to disease. The Grocery Manufacturers Association says up to 80% of processed foods sold in the U.S. is genetically modified, and most of it is not labeled.
Monsanto is one of the world's largest producers of genetically modified seeds. The company is committed to innovation in agriculture, but critics say it should be more transparent. Monsanto CEO Hugh Grant is with us at the table. We're pleased to have him. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know the concern about this, and obviously you have to speak to it. Polls show people, citizens across the country are concerned. And for those who see that concern or express that concern, how do you prove them otherwise? And what is it exactly that you believe?
Well, we're, as you know, we're an agricultural company. We sell seeds to farmers who make harvests, and those harvests end up in plates around the world. Genetically modified organisms have been around for actually next year's the 20th anniversary, so billions of acres, trillions of portions of food, and probably the most studied food products in the history of food production. So I feel confident about their safety, but as you say, because of this, you know, the continued concern, we probably should do a better job in dialogue and
you mean more transparency, more conversation, more what?
Well, I think more conversation. I think a part of the challenge is there's such misinformation on where food comes from.
What's the misinformation?
People between what arrives in a plate and what farmers do today. We're so far 2% of the country feeds 98%. So I think for companies like mine, we've got our work cut out in explaining what agriculture is and where food comes from.
Are you in favor of mandatory labeling?
I'm in favor of some federal standards. So I think a broad umbrella in labeling that's based on science and based on facts, I'd welcome. My concern, Charlie, is that a lot of the labeling debate so far has been state by state, so independence, different labels in different states, and that results in confusion instead of transparency, and it results in more expense. So if there was an overall standard, kind of like the organic, if you look today at the organic food standard, something that mirrored that, I'd be in favor
of. To Charlie's point about transparency, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm concerned about the time. Your company spent over $4 million to defeat a GMO labeling ballot initiative in Colorado and over $6 million in Oregon. So if you're for transparency, why spend so much money to make sure that it doesn't happen?
Because a deep concern that we end up with a patchwork quilt of state-by-state regulations where you end up in a place where you can't move a can of soup from one state to the other. And when you talk to the food manufacturers, we're a seed company, but when you talk to the food manufacturers, the concern is, how do you move food between states? So if you fast forward, we've been at this for 20 years, if you think forward, you think about food security and the challenges of climate change, these are tools that we're going to have in our back pocket. And I'm concerned that if you build a patchwork of state-by-state legislation, we're never going to move forward. And the consumer ends up paying $400 to $500 more a year in their grocery bills because you get state-by-state regulation. So I like the idea of something that covers the country.
Isn't it in your interest to get out front of this?
Yeah, that's why I'm talking to you here today.
Yeah, but you've got chain restaurants like McDonald's and Chipotle that are saying, listen, we're not going to use genetically modified items anymore. Are you having dialogue with them? What do they know?
Yeah, I think the change for us, real briefly, the change for us in the last couple of years is, I would always have said, we're a seed company. The restaurants are so far away, they're so far down the chain from us. I think more and more this is all interconnected. So we've been spending more time talking to the food companies, more time talking to consumers, because I think when you think about 2.5 billion new citizens arriving on our planet in the next 30, 40 years, we're going to need every tool in the box to satisfy
I'm curious, though. I mean, I know that your company deals primarily with seeds. Will you try the genetically modified salmon when it's out on the market?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
You have no problem with that?
No, I look forward to trying the salmon. It's not one of our products, but as I said earlier, we're going to need all of these elements for our kids and our grandkids.
Go ahead.
Well, quickly, we want to talk about Roundup. It's been approved in America by the EPA, something that your company manufactures. But many studies have looked at where it's funded or conducted by your company, that this chemical may actually could cause cancer, a chemical that is in this feed. Is there any sort of response to that? I mean, are we in fact poisoning our crops by using this Roundup
Not at all.
chemical?
Farmers depend on this. It's an important tool for growers in the fight against weeds. So every spring, when they plant a crop, the weeds are there. They're there every spring. So they need all the help they can get to combat those weeds. So I feel very good about the safety of the product. It's been studied extensively for more than 40 years. And if you think to the future, and how there's two challenges. How do we feed a hungry world? How do we feed 9.5 billion people, number one? And number two, simultaneously, how do we fight climate change? And we are going to need all of these tools and all these products to help combat hungry nations.
And you have promised to go carbon neutral in crop production.
We made an announcement yesterday that we'll be carbon neutral in 6 short years. So for our entire footprint, we will be in a position where what we emit will be covered by what we consume.
Yeah, no one realistically expected you to say you didn't think your product was safe, but you can understand, or can you understand, why people are concerned?
Yeah, I think that the key for me, for Monsanto, and I think for agriculture in general, we need to do a better job explaining where food comes from.
All right.
Hugh Grant, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the invitation.
Controversy is growing over whether foods should be labeled if they contain GMOs. That stands for genetically modified organisms. Vermont recently passed legislation requiring GMO labeling. Dozens of other states are considering similar actions. And labeling requirements are on the ballot now in Oregon and Colorado for this fall. Consumer Reports tested more than 80 processed foods to see just how widespread those GMOs are and whether you can really trust food labels. Jennifer Krause has details in this Consumer Matters.
About 90% of corn produced in the U.S. is now genetically modified. The same with soybeans. Consumer Reports tests showed GMOs can be in lots of foods, including these cereals, these snack bars, and these soy-based infant formulas. Since labeling is not required, you can't tell by just looking at the package, although some may say no GMO, non-GMO, or non-GMO project verified. Consumer Reports tested a variety of products containing soy or corn for GMOs and at least 2 samples of each from a different lot.
Unless they were labeled organic, the vast majority of products without a specific claim regarding GMOs actually did contain a substantial amount.
What about foods labeled natural? A Consumer Reports survey of 1,000 people found that more than 60% believe natural means no GMOs. That's not what the test found.
There is no legal definition for the claim natural on processed foods. Virtually all the samples we tested that said natural but didn't make claims about being organic or non-GMO, in fact contained a high percentage of GMOs.
Then there are unverified claims like non-GMO. Though not independently certified, they mostly proved accurate in Consumer Reports tests. The one exception, these corn chips. They're labeled no GMO, but contained a high proportion of GMO corn in all 6 samples tested. The organic white corn chips did meet Consumer Reports standards, though, for non-GMO.
Our findings confirmed that the most reliable labels for avoiding GMOs are non-GMO Project Verified or organic, both independently certified.
Jennifer Kraus, News Channel 5 HD.
A spokesperson for the company that makes the corn chips told Consumer Reports that the company and its supplier are baffled by Consumer Reports test results. You can get more of the Consumer Reports information on GMOs and food labeling on our website at newschannel5.com.
A new rule requires GMO products to be labeled by 2022, and some food companies are rejoicing. You know I'm going to say that again. A new rule requires GMO products to be labeled by 2022, and some food companies are rejoicing. This story was done in Business Insider, December the 21st, 2018, and this is how it reads. The U.S. Department of Agriculture announced that food companies will have until 2022 to label their GMO crops. The decision follows a long-time battle between food companies and consumer groups who argue that USDA regulations makes it possible to mislead the public. Critics are also concerned that companies aren't required to label highly refined ingredients that come from GMO crops such as cane sugar, corn syrup, processed vegetable oil. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has finally set a timeline for food companies to disclose their use of genetically engineered ingredients. After years of back and forth between manufacturers and consumer groups, the department announced that all U.S. companies must label their GMO crops by 2022. But there's a catch. Companies will not be required to label highly refined ingredients that come from GMO crops as long as there is no evidence of genetically engineered materials. That means things like cane sugar, corn syrup, and processed vegetable oil could escape the labeling process or be labeled on a voluntary basis. In a statement, the National Milk Producer Federation said that they were pleased with the USDA's decision not to require labels for milk produced by animals that consume bioengineered feed. NMPF told Congress that any regulation requiring the labeling of bioengineered products must be science-based. The group says this rule codifies our positions. What's in a label? The USDA announcement is music to the ears of many food companies and manufacturers who lobbied for more than time following a 2016 mandate for a nationwide GMO labeling system. Companies now have about 3 years to decide how to label their products. Under the 2016 law, companies have the option to use direct language or digital code or symbol to reveal the presence of genetically engineered ingredients. Some consumer groups worry that a scanning system would make the information too inconspicuous to the public. Other groups, like the Center for Science in the Public Interest, are concerned that there are no rules to prevent items like water and orange juice from being labeled as non-GMO when there are no GMO versions being sold on the market in the first place. What's so bad about a GMO product? For the most part, the scientific community considers GMO to be safe for consumption. 3 major scientific organizations, the National Academy of Sciences, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and the European Commission, have all publicly stated that GMOs don't present a harm to human health. Even Bill Gates has referred to GMO as a promising tool with the potential to reduce starvation and malnutrition. By fortifying crops with certain staple nutrients, countries could have helped ensure that citizens don't go hungry or fall prey to disease. In the U.S., it's nearly impossible to avoid consuming GMOs. The Grocery Manufacturers Association estimates that around 70 to 80% of the food we consume in America contains genetically engineered ingredients. But environmental groups have expressed concern that GMO crops are more resistant to herbicides which may or may not be carcinogenic. A war over consumers' rights. As the debate about food safety goes on, some consumer groups have adopted a simpler argument. Americans have a right to know what's in their food. In an online statement, the Environment Working Group called the USDA's latest decision unlawful and disappointing. At a time when the consumers are asking more and more questions about the use of genetic engineering, today's rule will further undermine the technology by sowing greater confusion among Americans, the organization wrote. But some food companies say they could be trusted to disclose information on their own. In a statement to the Wall Street Journal, the General Counsel for the Grocery Manufacturer Association called the USDA announcement sound decision to empower industry to give consumers more information. All right, we're back. Well, that should be a lot to take in, right? 70 to 80% of the food that we consume in the United States genetically engineered. Damn. We've been eating this shit for some time, y'all. Wondering why they was doing the studies, the kids was obese, all that stuff. Because we've been eating this all the way back to when they first talked about that sheep they cloned, right? So when they talked about that, we had that individual that was sitting in there talking about he was I don't know if it was his company or not, and he talked about how Roundup was a tool and how Roundup was used to, again, to killing the weeds, right? Now, again, if weeds, again, you using chemical to, to kill the weeds, but then what about the soil? And then what about the seed that is being produced? You saying that this is safe, but it's killing the weed, right? How could that be, good for the product or the soil, right? And then we had that brother, Dwayne Johnson. Remember, I did a story on the brother that won that lawsuit. Remember, he was just a groundskeeper, and he the one that, again, he got soaked with it. Remember, he got off of work one day and the stuff spilled on him. So what he did is ran and took him a quick shower, try to get off and, get all the stuff off. And then later on, he started having boils and all that stuff and getting sick, right? Remember, I read the heartfelt letter he talked about. He won't be able to see the money. But you say that Roundup is a tool, and again, they talk about it's not harmful to the human health. But that individual right there, that brother right there, is terminally ill due to the simple fact of this kind of stuff and using this in the weed, right? Now, the tricky part was about, again, when they talk about this labeling, right? I say, even unless it says organic, natural don't mean what you think natural mean. Organic might be organic, but natural can also be GMO, could be genetically engineered, right? Because what is defined by natural? They don't really say. And then I thought about when they talk about, genetically modified, like they talk about cane sugar, right? Right? Cane sugar and vegetable oil. And I thought about that, I said, well, cane being, okay, sugar cane, so I guess that could be genetically modified, right? And then vegetable oil, you're using the oil that's supposed to come from the vegetable, and the vegetable is coming from the ground that's, wow, slick shit. Then it says something about water and orange juice. Like, what? Water and orange juice is an orange, so I guess it can be. But how do you get it in the water? Think about that one. But then said the milk is glad that you don't have to put the label on the milk, because the cow that eats, you know what I'm saying, the grass, that eating the other, that's going into the body, that's going into the surrounded, and he's sitting there. He would eat the tilapia engineered. He would eat it. Yeah, right. You know where you eat at. You don't eat where everybody else is gonna eat. Right? The food you'll be getting from is probably gonna be we can't even say natural. Again, confusing everything to everything what it's supposed to, again, the way we've been trained to understand, will always be an opposite of what you think it is. It ain't about natural. And I don't even believe organic is what you're saying, because again, unless you are the farmer, you're the only one who know what that seed and where it come from. I made some potatoes the other day, right? It's some old school mashed potato. Got the potato, boiled them, and then, took the peel off, squished them up, you know what I'm saying? Put some salt and butter in there. I swear them potatoes don't taste the way they used to taste. I said, I bet this shit GMO, but it didn't say on the pack. But I know it's genetically modified. I know, I could tell. So again, when we look at this shit, man, again, what can you do? Some people say, well, you got to start growing your own food. Well, they got the seeds. They got the patents to all the seeds. How do you get around that? You just don't, right? So just kind of like, Franken food, huh? Just hopefully it doesn't get you in the way it's getting. I mean, man, something got to give, something got to change, because the way he's gonna talk about, he talking about prosperity and children. Man, I don't know whose children you talking about. Your own, because I don't think your own gonna be eating all that. But if that's what we gotta be eating, our children gotta eat, and our prosperity gotta eat, then I guess you alternate shit, and I guess you got a plan for it. But again, education is power, and power is knowledge, and so we have to be up on it. Again, to buy, let's say, what you consider health conscious, it costs way more money, right? If you try to buy all organic, you go into places where they just sell all that organic, but shit, you spend $300, $400, $500, $600, right? Barely get 2 bags, right? So people trying to be health conscious, but again, it's not so much about your conscience, it's about what you can put in your body. And again, it says 70-80% of what we consume in this country has already been genetically edited. So it don't matter. You've been already eating this shit. That's the information I brought for today, y'all. Look out here and see what y'all talking about before I get ready to close the show out. I want to thank all y'all for coming in. Right. See where I left off here. Salmon, mad cheap right now. I don't trust it. Yeah, that's why it's so cheap. Because that shit ain't organic, I guess, right? It ain't organic. It might be naturally, but it may not be organic. So yeah, a lot of shit, that tilapia, I remember they were talking about that have human organisms in it. It's really a genetically modified fish. You know what I'm saying? And if you know some Filipinos, you work with them, they eat the shit out that tilapia and shit, right? I mean, they make it smell good, right? They fix it up real nice again. But again, we talking about man, boy, I guess the long implications later of how, people gonna turn out eating this shit. So our kids is young, having certain kind of cancers and stuff at a young age. Like, why is somebody that young having that kind of stuff? Eating this bullshit. Because you were seeing in the video, was showing you cereal. It was showing you the Similac, the stuff you put in the babies. These motherfuckers is out here, man. Well, brother, that conversation probably can't be having the air this open like this, but there's only one solution to this problem. There's only one. And it's not what everybody thinking to this other thing that they doing. Once you read history and understand the theme of history, you know what you're going to have to do. And everybody avoiding that. Because that's otherwise, how do you get, like you say, the question is, how do you get around it? The only way you can get it, they can't be there. Period. Them that got themselves in a position to do it can't be there no more. Because again, this is, again, like you said, that's his business. Gayle King was like, well, I know it's your business. You wasn't going to say anything negative to say, like, if it was doing it, you wasn't going to say it. But, you know, there's a concern out here. You don't give a shit. It's about money to him. Whatever he's feeding you, he's not going to get it because, again, you don't think, let's say, old school saying, don't get high on your own supply. Well, that's what they talking about. They ain't eating their shit. They're letting you eat it. They got certain, you know, places that will facilitate natural grown, whatever, the real natural we think we know. They got natural, they get their shit. And when they eat, they eating like dude in the Continental and shit, right? When John Wick I was talking about yesterday. They eating the good shit, right? But when they give it to you, again, like you say, because your money may not stretch as long, and then you going in the store and they got a 50-pack of chicken costing about $5. You're like, shit, that's a lot of chicken for $5. Yeah, you eating a day, and it's doing this, but again, it's a long, prolonged use of this. The effects it's going to have, and then if they're doing it scientifically to modify, what is being modified? Are they attacking your DNA? To alter you, to change you, and make you, you know, some docile, automaton-ass person? I guess. So I hear what you're saying, brother. Again, that conversation can never be had directly open. That'd be a conversation like if we was, you know, we would be able to talk like that, but not like this, right? You hear about that tornado in Oregon. No, I didn't hear about that, bro. I didn't hear about that one. Did that happen today, or that was something that happened a little while back? Full of KKK. Oh, so a tornado killed the spot that had a whole bunch of them in it? I'll be looking for that one. I get off. I'm going to try to get, I'll be telling y'all I'm going to come on that second show. You know, I'll be happening, man. I get eaten, boy, that itis kick in. I mean, I wake up and be like, damn, it's too late to put a show on. But I'll sure be trying to get that second show on because I'm trying to get us back in. Try to get back in the crux of things, and again, 2000. But I'm gonna look that up, Bernard. If I find it, I'm gonna bring it to the show. I'm definitely gonna bring it to the show. But again, I'll slowly talk about what you're talking about. I have to do it in increments, in a way, without saying it directly. But that's the only thing we got left, man. I mean, otherwise, man, we all susceptible to get caught up in that shit. There's no way to get around that web. Again, that's what I say, www, World Wide Web. They got us all caught up in this shit, right? And as more time go on, the more this implementation of this technology and shit, you get to the point where, you know, saying you either function in it or you try to be out of it, and you out of the system, right? And then you know, you gotta find a way to survive, right? So again, you know, I want to thank everybody who came, gave them likes, dislikes, comments. You know, again, as I always say, you know, being DOS, black people of this nation, when we see each other, get a universal nod. What's up? Hey, sister, how you doing? All we got is each other, right? We see how this is. We can see where this is going. So whatever unification we're going to get to empower ourselves, you know, it's each one, teach one, tell one. And then once everybody can finally get on the right road to what we're supposed to be doing, maybe that answer that you're talking about, Bernard, will happen. Till then, we got a lot of work to do. Everybody got something to do. Either you help contribute to somebody who's doing something, or you make something on your own. But we all got something to do, because what the scriptures say, it said, there's plenty of work, but the workers are few. So, there it is, y'all. To the next show. Stay black. With love, peace, hair grease, watermelon, and all that. To the next show. Hopefully, I'll try to get it on tonight. Not, next show. Peace, love, y'all.